Good evening and welcome to the May 17th meeting of the Downers Grove Village Council. It's 2016. It's my pleasure as Mayor Pro Tem to call this meeting to order. Mayor Tully is out of town, but he will be joining us via phone. We will have many opportunities for public comment. We have a general comment section that appears after our first reading section, but also we'll have opportunities to comment on each agenda item as it comes forward. With that, I'd like to ask our village clerk to please call the roll.
I think we need to, prior to the roll, I move...
No. You have to, after roll call establishing.
But how is he included in the roll then?
We have to establish the roll first.
Okay.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Here.
Commissioner White?
Here.
Commissioner Vatimo? Here. Commissioner Jose?
Here.
Commissioner Olson?
Here.
Commissioner Barnett?
Here.
Mayor Tully?
Here.
Okay. With that, Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we allow Mayor Tully to participate in the Village Council meeting of May 17th, 2016, electronically.
Second.
A motion and a second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, roll call, please.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Vatimo? Aye. Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. The motion passes and Mayor Tully is permitted to attend electronically. We'll next move.
Thank you.
No problem, Mayor. We're glad you're able to join us and for at least a portion of the meeting. I know Mayor Tully is out of town on business and has graciously agreed to join us, but may have to drop off early if need be. So Mayor Tully, just let us know if you have to drop off.
I will. Thank you very much for the accommodation and greetings from lovely downtown Davenport, Iowa.
With that, we'll move to the minutes of prior council meetings. Is there a motion with respect to the May 10th, 2016 minutes?
Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we approve the minutes from May 10th.
Second.
Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, please indicate by aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion passes. We'll next move to proclamations. There are 3 proclamations tonight, and I'll read them each in turn. The first proclamation is with regard to Historic Preservation Month. Whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for revitalizing and sustaining neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining a sense of place while enhancing livability, and whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds, and whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as a community, and whereas This Place Matters is the theme for Historic Preservation Month 2016, and whereas This Place Matters is a national campaign that encourages people to celebrate the places that are meaningful to them and to their communities, and whereas Historic Preservation Month 2016 is an occasion for celebrating the historic resources within the community and increasing public awareness of the importance of historic preservation so that special resources can be preserved to pass on to future generations. Now, therefore, Martin T. Tully, Mayor of the Village of Downers Grove, does hereby proclaim May 2016 as Historic Preservation Month in the Village of Downers Grove. And it's signed by the Mayor in absentia. And I'll present this to Stan Popovich, our Community Development Director. We have a second proclamation. This proclamation is with regard to Police Week. It reads, whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which it falls as Police Week, And whereas the members of the Downers Grove Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of Downers Grove. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their police department, and that members of the Downers Grove Police Department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence or disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the Downers Grove Police Department unceasingly provides a vital public service, now therefore Martin T. Tully, Mayor of the Village of Downers Grove, does call upon all citizens of Downers Grove and upon all patriotic, civil, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 15th through 21st, 2016 as Police Week, with appropriate ceremonies in which all of our people may join in commemorating police officers, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in doing so have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens, dated May 17th, and signed by Mayor Tully. I just also, before I present the proclamation to our police chief, I'd just like to note we did observe the Richard J. Barth Memorial Ceremony. It was yesterday, which recognizes the sole, hopefully always the sole police officer who was killed in the line of duty in Downers Grove in 1974. And so we had that ceremony to recognize him and his service yesterday. So with that, I'll present this to our police chief, Chief Bluder. And not to be outdone, we have a third proclamation for Public Works Week. And it reads, whereas public works services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives, and whereas the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs such as water, storm sewers, streets, transportation, and public buildings. Whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these facilities and services, and whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff the Public Works Department is materially influenced by the people's attitude and understanding of the importance of the work they perform, now therefore Martin T. Tully, Mayor of the Village of Downers Grove, does hereby proclaim the week of May 15th through 21st, 2016 as Public Works Week in Downers Grove, and calls upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involving in providing our public works and to recognize the contribution which public works personnel make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life, dated May 17th and signed by Mayor Tully. And I'll present this proclamation to Nan Newland, our Public Works Director.
Please make a note in your program. Playing the role of Nan Newland tonight is our Deputy Village Manager, Mike Baker.
Well, Mr. Baker, I appreciate you standing in. That concludes the proclamation, so we'll move on to our consent agenda. Is there a motion with regard to the consent agenda?
Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Is there any discussion from members of the public on this item? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Fatimo?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye.
The consent agenda passes unanimously. We'll move to item 6 now, our active agenda. There are 5 items, and we'll take them in turn. Is there a motion with regard to item 6A?
Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we continue item 6A to a date certain.
Second.
To June 14th? Okay, we'll move that to June 14th.
Seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Waldeck. Is there any discussion from,
I should explain why.
yes, Commissioner White?
Okay. My understanding that the petitioners in this case have asked that this item be moved to that date so they could be in attendance. This is an item worthy of celebration, so it's important that they be here. So we're more than happy to accommodate that.
Is there any discussion from members of the public on this item? Any discussion from members of the village council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Vatimo?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye.
That matter is tabled to June 14th. We'll see it again at that time. Is there a motion with regard to item 6B as in boy?
Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we adopt a resolution granting historic landmark designation for 1232 Gilbert Avenue as presented.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion from members of the public on this item? Hearing none, any discussion from members of the village council? Hearing none, I'll just say we're thrilled. This will be the fourth property in Downers Grove to receive historic landmark status, and the second since we changed our ordinance. And we are very, very excited, and I do have a certificate after the vote, provided this passes. I have a certificate to present to the owners of the property. So with that, I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Vatimo?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye.
And I'm pleased to say that matter passes unanimously. So with that, I would invite Irene Hogstrom and Mark Bregan to come forward. I have a certificate here from the Village of Downers Grove, a historic landmark status recognizing the Melcher Girday House at 1232 Gilbert Avenue, Irene Hogstrom and Mark Bregan, owners. I'll ask them to come forward. And also Stan Popovich, our Community Development Director, has a plaque that will also be presented to them. Congratulations. Do you want to say a few words about the house?
I'll just say, yeah, thank you for passing that unanimously, and yeah, I feel like it's at the end of a long journey because we did start this research about 8 or 9 years ago on this house, and you know, it was difficult where we hit a couple of obstacles as far as finding the correct date that it was built and the chain of ownership, and actually Sarah at the museum even corrected us on the style of architecture. So there were a lot of people that helped us through this process. So we're very grateful and yeah, glad to finally have our plaque. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. With that, we'll move to the next item on our active agenda. Is there a motion with regard to active agenda item 6C as in Charlie?
Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we accept the facility sustainability plan as presented. The energy one comes first?
Yeah, 6C.
I'm sorry. I move that we adopt an ordinance adopting the current International Code of Council Energy Conservation Code as presented.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this item from members of the public? Any discussion from members of the village council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Vatimo?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye.
That matter passes unanimously. We'll next move to item 6D as in David. Is there a motion with regard to that item?
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to accept the facility sustainability plan as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion from members of the public on this item? Hearing none, a discussion from members of the village council. Commissioner Jose?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just in keeping with the Police Week theme and the Richard J. Barth Memorial Ceremony, I've had this idea kicking around in my head, and it seemed like the right time to bring it up. I'd like to suggest to my colleagues, and obviously there's a lot of work left to be done, but after the renovation and addition is complete, I'd like to suggest that we name the facility after Officer Barth. I think it's a fitting memorial, and I think it's the right thing to do. Thanks, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate the suggestion. I think something we should consider and look into that. So I agree with that. Further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Fatimo? Aye. Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Commissioner Burnett?
Nay.
Mayor Tully?
Aye.
That matter passes 6-1. We'll next move to item 6E as in Edward. Is there a motion with regard to the item?
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to direct staff to pursue membership in DuPage Public Safety Communications for the provision of emergency and related dispatching services.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion from members of the public on this item? Any discussion from members of the Village Council? Commissioner Barnett?
Thank you, David. I assume when this comes back, we'll have, before an actual agreement is executed, we'll have some sort of context or understanding of what services will be different and how, and what the cost might be to back end support those and maintain the service levels that we have today.
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure we're clear on that. There's changes here, and I'm not sure all of them are ones we want to have happen, so let's make sure we understand that.
Thank you. Further discussion from members of the Village Council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Fatimo? Aye. Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Commissioner Burnett?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye.
That matter passes unanimously, and that ends the active agenda. We'll next move on to item 7, first reading agenda, and I'll turn this over to Village Manager David Fieldman for
Thank you.
presentation of the items.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just one item on tonight's first reading agenda. It's an ordinance authorizing a special use at 1723 Ogden Avenue. Here to present the background information on this petition is our Community Development Director, Stan Popovich.
Mr. Popovich.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. As Mr. Fieldman noted, the item before you tonight is a special use for 1723 Ogden Avenue. The property is at the southwest corner of the Ogden Avenue and Lee Avenue, shown here in green and circled. If we zoom in a little bit, here's the site. It's the current Star Motor site and what of the 3 vacant property, and then the vacant property to the immediate west. If we zoom in a little bit further, this comes in at the intersection of Ogden and Lee. There are four buildings on the 2 properties, with which the petitioner owns all the properties. So there are 4 buildings, the Star Motors existing facility on the right, and then 3 vacant buildings on the left there under the stars. You can see there's various curb cuts. There's one curb cut on Lee, one curb cut on Ogden where the current Star Motors is, and then maybe 3 curb cuts on the property to the west there, sort of an open area on the west there. What the petitioner is proposing to do is to take his existing building, which is the Star Motors building here, and to build a new building, which is shown here in the rendering, a very modern-looking new retail sales center for this automobile dealership. The petitioner, this is the site plan that's showing. Now, the site's right along east to west, so this is cut off where the parking lot sort of ends, a little bit south of where the parking lot ends. The new building would be shown here in blue, where there's a little indent heading up to the top of the screen to the north. That's where the building ends currently. So the 3 existing buildings on the west side would be demolished, and then this building would be expanded further to the west. The petitioner is proposing to close 2 curb cuts, the one on Ogden, the current site, the one on Lee on the current site, and then the large expanse on to the west there, and replace it with 2 new curb cuts, one on Lee, one on Ogden. It's a pretty good layout, allows trucks to get in and out of there around the building without having much trouble and much maneuverability issues there, while still allowing customers easy access to the facility as well. Petitioners also provided a connection point, an access connection, access easement to the property to the west, so if that property would develop in the near future, that they could then have access to that site as well. Anybody could come onto here and go out to Ogden Avenue at this location. The site plan as shown provides the adequate amount of parking for the number of cars that they're going to sell, and then customer parking as well. Handicap parking is provided as well. The parking lot will be a complete permeable paver parking lot, and that is to address all the stormwater concerns. The permeable paver parking lot will have a thicker than normal amount of stones underneath it to provide the extra capacity that's needed based on the site conditions that are out there and how much water is on the site and how it flows through the site there. And then the proposed design does meet all stormwater ordinance requirements. We asked the petitioner to perform a car carrier turning radius exhibit for us to make sure that the car carrier could get onto the site. This is very important so that, as you can see, a car carrier can come down Lee Avenue, turn right into the site, and then exit out onto Ogden Avenue, back out on his way. There have been some concerns in the past about traffic on Lee Avenue and business activities taking place on Lee Avenue, and so there's provisions in the ordinance to limit work activities, so they all have to take place on the private property, and then additionally to limit so that there are no test drives southbound on Lee Avenue, so that all the all test drives would go out onto Ogden Avenue and then disperse down east or west Ogden Avenue. So that conditions have been added to the staff report and to the ordinance as well. With regard to the comprehensive plan, the proposed auto use is a corridor commercial use, and then we are seeing a reduction in the Ogden Avenue curb cuts, which is called for. With regard to the zoning ordinance, there's one set of standards, which is the special use standards in 12.050.h. And then the petitioner is here, and they can further address the proposal and answer any questions that you have tonight.
Thank you, Stan. At this time, I'd just like to offer, if the petitioner wants to make any brief comments at this point, or you could wait until, unless there's any questions, but you're welcome to present if you'd like.
My name is Tom Buckley. I live in Hoffman Estates. I'm the architect for the project, and I'm also the agent for the petitioner. I'd like to thank Stan Popovich and his staff for their support in helping us through the process, and then again for the Plan Commission for their unanimous approval. This project was, the owner purchased the property back in 2000, and then in just last year, 2015, he purchased the two parcels, to the west, with the intention of adding on to, to the existing facility. The existing facility has got about 6,100 square feet, and of which 1,080 is going to be taken off, and then 9,494 square feet will be added for a total square footage of 14,518. Existing structure is a one-story masonry building with a small showroom facing north on Ogden, and we will continue to face Ogden with a glass front, and as you saw in the perspective. The entire parking area will be constructed as discussed with eco-friendly brick pavers and detention below. And our civil engineers here if there's any questions with regards to that construction. It is the petitioner's intent to remain a good neighbor, not only to the village, but to the neighbors, to the south as well. And there has been some history with test drives down Lee Avenue, and strong efforts are being put forth to eliminate that. I would say the majority of test drives include a salesman, and if the salesman is part of is in the car, then he will direct, the test drive. Typically goes out to Ogden. It may go east to Main Street and then north to 31st and then return. The other way we do it sometimes is out to Ogden, west to Findlay, up to Butterfield, and then return that way. In the past, there's been incidents where the test drives have gone further south on Lee Street, and we're trying to avoid that. When I say trying, occasionally we sell two-seaters, And if a husband and wife come to purchase the car, a salesman would not be part of that test drive. But instructions are given to every test driver to not go south on Lee. And as part of the provisions for this project is that a sign will be posted at that curb cut to indicate no right turn on Lee to head south off of the property. One of the other issues was brought up about lighting and the concern about the intensity and it's going to, light up like daylight. Well, that's always good for showing cars, but the ordinance here in Downers Grove is pretty strict, and they're requiring a 0.1 illumination at the property line where it abuts residential property. We do abut residential property, but currently it's vacant land and partially floodplain. So in all likelihood, it'll never be built on. So, but we still maintained a photometric plan where the light levels meet the requirements of the village. And I would think the neighbors should be very happy. All these fixtures are LED. They're replacing all the old metal halide fixtures. They're what they call cutoff fixtures so that the lens nor lamp project below the bottom of the fixture. They also have shields, what they call BCOs, which are back cutoffs. So that helps to eliminate any kind of spread onto the property line behind the lamp. The lights, believe it or not, are also, there's a termination called nighttime friendly, and it's actually a technical term, and it just shows that the lights are not going to be visible, where it would be offensive. The other issue was the loading and unloading cars on Ogden. This was a long discussion with the Plan Commission as well as with Stan, and he showed you our turning radius. A car carrier of 5 to 6 cars will be able to unload on our property and not on Lee or Ogden. And it's a small semi, but very similar to a fire department ladder truck. So, and the turning radiuses were not just for the car carriers, but it's also been approved for fire trucks and the garbage trucks. Again, if there's any issues with stormwater management, our civil engineer is here to discuss. Otherwise, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much for the presentation. We'll now open the floor from members of the Village Council if there's any questions or comments you'd like to make, and then we'll hear from the public, and then go back to the Village Council. Questions or comments from members of the Village Council at this point? Hearing none, we'll move to the members of the public, and then we'll come back to the council. Questions or comments from members of the public at this time?
Hi, I'm Ken Conness from Grant Street, and I had a conversation with Kerry Bear of the village a couple weeks ago, mainly about stormwater control, and I understood from that conversation that any direct or indirect impact to a wetland, which you may recall is somebody designated back there, federal person, I don't know. Any direct or indirect impact to a wetland induces the need for a stormwater permit, and I wanted to know if anybody can give me an update on the status of that stormwater permit.
Mr. Fieldman?
A stormwater permit is required. It will be reviewed as part of the building permit application, which will take place after any zoning approvals and must be in place prior to the construction activities.
Thank you.
So be reviewed after building permit is
reviewed concurrently with the building permit.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Conness. Further comments from members of the public?
Hello. You need anything? Name, address?
Name.
John Tully. I was here for the previous meeting as well. And I live on Bankery Court, which is right on the corner of Lee, about a block, 2 blocks down from from Star Motors. I also have another property now on Lee Street as well. So my concern that I brought up before was the test drives and the danger that they present in the commercial traffic. Because of that, I think the wording was changed in the last session to restrict commercial traffic or this business traffic, unloading, test drives, etc. I'm sure, I have every faith that the crew up there is doing what they can. My concern is I don't know if it's enough. It's been, I'm not sure exactly how long, 5, 6 weeks since the last meeting when I last spoke. I'm going to guess that after that meeting, some conversation was had in the business, some attempt to restrict that kind of driving on Lee Street. And if you don't know, it's the 0 to 60 test strip. They come out of the property, the business, they come southbound, and they accelerate to Chicago. They go do the loop, and sometimes they come back down. Usually they don't, but frequently you can see the same vehicle. Case in point, yesterday a neighbor and I were outside, standing on the sidewalk. A couple of my kids are playing. One of the high-end sports cars came, and I think it's actually sitting in the parking lot right now, came ripping down the street. The guy actually went flying by. We all kind of craned our head because he was easily doing 50 miles an hour in excess. Went down, turned around by the park, and came back the other way and came to a stop next to us, ironically, even though we didn't say anything to him. And he commented, he says, "Hey," he says, "do I look good in this car?" And it was just so ironic that this meeting was today and this happened yesterday. and my neighbor, I didn't say a word, my neighbor Todd, he says, "You look good, but we'd appreciate if you wouldn't speed." He says, "Oh, no problem, no problem." And he didn't at that point forward, but he wasn't with a salesperson. And it just happens all too often. I know they can't stop everything, but I don't see any teeth. If they don't, once they get this exception or this variance, and they go back to business as usual, unless they want to truly put a stop to this because that's where their heart is, I don't see how they're going to do it or why they're going to do it, quite frankly. Case in point, on Saturday I was sitting there, cul-de-sac, my house abuts it. We're playing out on the swings. What pulls into our cul-de-sac? But an 8-carrier truck. It was much bigger than a fire truck, I can tell you, because I've got a video of it on that iPad over there. And it was a Star Motors truck on Saturday delivering vehicles. Came in, obviously, turned wrong, did whatever, but he came into our cul-de-sac and started doing a 3-point turn with an 8-carrier truck in the cul-de-sac. I'm sure it was a mistake. I'm sure they didn't intend it, so I'm not claiming that they're doing this intentionally. I just don't see how they're going to stop it. I don't see how they're going to stop the test drives. I don't see how they're going to stop the carrier traffic. So I appreciate that the language was added to that they have to be mindful of it and that that's part of a condition of them getting this variance. But what teeth are there to go further after they get this business up and running? Which, by the way, I want it there. I would rather have these guys there with this business, quite frankly, than a grocery store or something with much more high volume traffic. But if we could just stop the dangerous aspect of it, it would be, I think, well, and for my neighbors with the flooding and stuff, that part too. But if we could stop that, I think it would be a win-win for everybody. So those are my comments.
Thank you very much. Further comment?
I have a question for staff on that point, on that specific point. What is the cost of those automated radar camera signs? We'll keep track of that then could record the speed and the license plate of a car. I oppose online speeding tickets that way, but there are ways to keep track of it.
I don't know off the top of our head, but we can get that information for you.
But speed cameras in general are illegal outside of Chicago.
You mean the radar feedback signs that indicate the speed of the vehicle going past?
Right, you are going so fast.
Just those.
You're going X, not for purpose of issuing a ticket. I mean, no, that'd be much more complicated. But just to indicate to the driver how fast they're going, because I think if these drivers were aware of how fast they were going, combined with a sign that this is your neighborhood, that might help mitigate it. But
we can get information on that.
There's other ways. The point is that there are there are ways to solve this short of not letting them build the dealership.
Yes, and if, you know, the conditions are in the ordinance here, and if they are not adhered to in day-to-day operations, we can actually bring this ordinance back to the council, and the approval can be changed or revoked. So what's on the line is the ability to continue to operate a dealership at this location.
Thank you. Further comments from members of the public on the item? Seeing no further comments, we'll go to the council. Commissioner Waldeck.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just to comment on the traffic situation, certainly there's the potential removal of the special use or adding additional requirements, but maybe as a additional requirement, if problems continue, we can always impose traffic calming methods, and any of those costs maybe as part of the special use. So it's something we can look at in the future if the problems continue. So an added encouragement for adhering to the special use. And we appreciate the petitioner's intent, and hopefully it'll all work out, but there are options if things do not work out. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Waldeck. Further comments from members of the Village Council?
David?
Commissioner Barnett.
Moving to another subject, is Mr. Dwadari here? Thank you. Thank you for wanting to invest in our community. Appreciate that. You've got choices, and we recognize that. I'm glad you're here, so you've heard this conversation. Obviously, this is a pretty big issue. We have Ogden Avenue loaded up with car dealers and nothing but residential people 50 feet from them. So it's very important to us, as you just heard, that this be part of what you guys are really focused on and paying attention. But I'm sure you can. And beyond that, I just really appreciate you taking the step forward to invest in our community and not somewhere else. Thank you.
Commissioner Patimo.
You know, I would also like to say thank you, but I have to say that the danger really concerns me. And quite frankly, I don't know if it is going to be addressed. And I share your concern. So hopefully we can find something that we can all agree on here.
Thank you. Further comments? Hearing none,
That ends our first reading, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Fieldman. We'll next move to item 8, which is public comments. This is an opportunity for public comments of a general nature with regard to any item you'd like to speak about. Are there any public comments of a general nature at this time? Seeing no one approaching the podium, we'll move on to item 9. Mr. Connors?
I'll just throw out a general suggestion, since I don't think you're all done with stormwater management, right?
No, we're not.
Okay.
We're working on the referendum questions.
Okay, well, you know, I've heard various ideas about revising, recalculating how the fee's calculated, and I think some of them sort of made sense to me, and two of them were that I thought made sense was make it correlated with the ratio of the amount of impervious space to the total lot size. I thought that one kind of made sense. And the other one that occurs to me is, if it can be determined, I know there's, you know, staff has, you know, you don't have unlimited staff, but if you can determine that any particular property has a net absorption of stormwater, then I think they should be exempt. I don't think there's a lot of those properties, but I think, you know, where it can be determined that a particular property is absorbing, you know, more than they're giving off, they ought to be exempt. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Connors. Appreciate those comments. Further comments from members of the public? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 9, Mayor's Report. Mayor Tully, do you have anything to report?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Olson. Just a couple of quick things. Number one, remind everybody of the Cupcake Classic 5K that's coming up this weekend. Number two, the Public Works Open House on May 20th. And most importantly, the Memorial Day observance ceremony that takes place every year, this year on May 30th at 11 a.m. in Fishel Park. There's a short parade that precedes that at 10:45 a.m. That starts near the railroad tracks and then heads down to Fishel Park. Very quickly, of course, Memorial Day was originally known as Decoration Day, and it remains one of America's most cherished patriotic observations. Contrary to a frequent mistake, Memorial Day is not, of course, about honoring veterans. They have Veterans Day. Veterans were fortunate enough to come home. This is about honoring those who lost their lives in defense of our nation. It is also a reminder of our responsibility, our collective responsibility, to continue to serve our country in order to honor those who served our country themselves, and especially those who fell defending it. So I would invite all residents to once again participate in what is an exceptional Memorial Day observance ceremony that takes place in Fishel Park, put on by the VFW and the American Legion. And with that, I have no further report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 10, Manager's Report.
No report tonight, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Manager Fieldman. Item 11, Attorney's Report.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Only one item to present this evening, and that is an ordinance authorizing a special use for 1723 Ogden Avenue to permit an automobile dealership. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item 12, Council member reports. Any members of the Village Council have anything they wish to report at this time? Seeing no one jumping for it, I'll just again mention, as the Mayor Tully did, the Memorial Day observance. This is a great tradition in Downers Grove. The Fishel Park service is a wonderful tradition. I hope to see many folks here on May 30th. Actual Memorial Day, the observed day and the actual day are the same this year. With that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Fatimo?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
You forgot the pledge.